ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति।
पुनरपि जननं पुनरपि मरणं पुनरपि जननी जठरे शयनम् इह संसारे बहुदुस्तारे कृपया पारे पाहि मुरारे। रथ्याचत्पट विरचित कंतः पुण्यः पुण्य विवर्जित पंथः योगी योग नियोजित चित्तो रमते बालो अवधेय। कस्त्वं कोऽहं कुत आयातः कामे जननि को मे तातः इति परिभावय सर्वमसारं विश्वं त्यक्त्वा स्वप्नविचारम्। त्वयि मयि चान्यत्रैको विष्णुः व्यर्थं कुप्यसि मय्यसहिष्णुः। भवसमचित्तः सर्वत्र त्वं वाञ्छस्य चिराद्यति विष्णुत्वम्। शत्रौ मित्रे पुत्रे बन्धौ मा कुरु यत्नं विग्रहसन्धौ। सर्वस्मिन्नपि पश्यात्मानं सर्वत्रोत्सृज भेदाज्ञानम्।
Clarification. Context. I heard helplessness means you refuse to make a choice. All choices you are going to make, the result is going to be the same. The ego wants to make a choice. Helpless moments are the beautiful moments of life because ego has to bow down. When you say I'm helpless, you are saying I don't know the solution. Depression is when you are stubborn. Okay. Questions. Helplessness and depression seems to be about the same. They both seem to be tamasic in nature. In depression also, we stop making choices. How is depression and helplessness different? We develop our buddhi to make right choices. In helpless, our buddhi gives up and we surrender. So why develop our buddhi? Is helplessness or surrendering the same as bhakti? Ivuladana clarifications? Okay. Amit. You. Helplessness is a wonderful state. Depression is the pathetic state. There are diametrically opposite, but manifestations appear to be the same because tamas and sattva appears to be the same. So in that sense, the helplessness and depression might look like the same. First, we have seen this any number of times. Depression is a stubborn mind refusing to move till I get what I want. Till I get what I want, I will not even get up. We have seen that even the minimum things a person must do in a day, the mind will not allow them to do. That is depression. We gave examples also for that. Remember? What is that example? The minimum thing that you have to do, even when you are sick, is what? Even when you are sick, the minimum thing that you have to do is what? You must shower, no? What is depression? Refusing to, just refusing to move, that's all. So, depression is nothing but a stubborn mind. And how do you deal with depression? That also we saw. How do you deal with depression? Compassion doesn't work for depression. Compassion and affection and all will not work for depression. The only thing that will work for depression is, which obviously nobody has the mental strength to do nowadays to oneself or to anybody else, is what? The only way to deal with the depression, the only way to deal with the moguna is not by compassion. The expression of compassion, it is the expression of force, punishment. Helplessness that we are talking about, helplessness that we spoke about is a clarity of life because you have understood your limitations. Helplessness comes out of clarity. The clarity is you have limitations. What is the limitation? Now follow the sequence. At any given point in time, you make a choice. Correct? Amit, you make a choice. Do you make a choice with available data or do you make a choice with all-knowing data? How do you make a choice? How does anyone make a choice? All choices are made with available data. Available data means limited data. So all choices are made with limited data. Okay. Is there a possibility of making a choice with knowing everything? You have to become a Sarvagnya, Sarvavit to make a choice like that. And a Sarvagnya, Sarvavit will not make a choice. Why they will not make a choice? It doesn't make any difference. So what choice are you going to make? You follow. Therefore, you make a choice based on limited data. So you make a choice with limited data, with available data, influenced by the fluctuations. You make a choice with available data, influenced by fluctuations of your mind, influenced by your likes and dislikes. What will be the consequence of the choice? You never know. That's why we say you may sometimes if you really get things, we'll be surprised as how you even got it. That's why we say you are very lucky, we say. Because with the limited choices and the fluctuations and influences, everything and things going in your way, you have done some good punya karma that is saving you. There is a divine grace that is protecting you. So what is helplessness here? You make a choice with limited data, and whatsoever the consequences of the choice is, you are willing to accept it. So when you are making a choice, you understand this. This understanding is what poetically called as helplessness. Ego, assuming all powerful and all knowledge, will find helplessness very insulting. How can you say we are helpless? I know what I'm doing. I have done due diligence. I don't know what all words people use. I have taken all factors into consideration. So each and every adjective that you use to the decision making is only reinforcing the ego. Now, what will be the natural expectation that you will have when you make a choice like that? What will be the natural expectation of anybody when choices are made with this understanding of, I have done due diligence, I have taken all factors into consideration, my intentions were noble, all the what all positivity that even Shankaracharya doesn't have, we bring into our choices and actions. What will be the natural expectation? What will you expect naturally? What will be the outcome that you will want? What will be the natural outcome that anybody will want? Everything should go in their favor all the time. And one thing's going wrong is enough for the person to, one thing's going wrong is enough for the human being to become inactive, to go into the tamasic state. And then to motivate the person back into action, we have to give an assurance. What is assurance? Don't worry. Whatsoever you want, you will get, or something you will do, you will. So some motivation you have to do to yourself to bounce back into action, all driven by ego only again. Therefore, what is meant by helplessness? Helplessness is a simple recognition of the law of life. Helplessness is a simple recognition of the fact. What is the fact? At any given point in time, you make choices with limited knowledge. That this is the paradox of life. What is the paradox of life? At any given point in time, you can act only with existing knowledge. Simultaneously, you have to gain more knowledge. Again, the paradox of life is this. At any given point in time, you can act according to your existing knowledge. Also, you need to gain more knowledge. Therefore, what will you do? You say, okay, I made a choice. It may happen, it may not happen. Irrespective of irrespective of the consequences, I will continue to do what I ought to. You understand the difference between helplessness and depression now? Helplessness is a stubbornness because of the ego having the ego becomes so result oriented. When the ego gets very result oriented and the result doesn't go in its favor, it becomes inactive, refusing to act. That is called depression. Both are not the same, even though expressions may look like the same. Even to say that is wrong, because helplessness will not look the same. You see a depressed person, you will want to run away from that person. You sit in depression, who will want you? Isn't it? You sit crying, who will want a crying person? The law of life is beggars are not wanted, correct? We have seen that also. Beggars are not wanted. You go and beg, you will be dismissed. That's all. Depression is you go begging, thinking that you should be treated like a king. Depression is foolishness. Depression is, in fact, foolishness is a very polite word. Insanity it is. What is insanity? A beggar hopes to be expected to be treated like a king, and when a beggar is treated like a beggar, the mind cannot accept it. It just freezes. Stubbornly, it sits. That is called depression. Both are not the same. You understand the difference now between the two? With buddhi, you have to develop the buddhi. If you don't have to make choices, then why develop the buddhi at all? You need to develop the buddhi only for the ego to bow down. not for you to think that you have become all-knowing. Remember this. The biggest problem of this buddhi today is more and more you develop buddhi, more and more people think you will become all-knowing. You develop the buddhi, you become all-knowing. Egoistic it is. More you develop the buddhi, more you will be able to bow down. So the indication of you having an intellect is what? The indication that you have developed the buddhi is what? Not that you have become all-knowing. The indication of you having buddhi is the ability to bow down. Then your buddhi has developed. If it is standing erect, then there is no buddhi there. You follow? So, what is buddhi? At any given point in time, you have to make a choice. Whatsoever the consequences are, irrespective of the consequences, you must continue to do what you ought to do. Nitya Naimittika Karma. That is buddhi. Sukha dukkhe samaye gritva labha labho jaya jayau. That is buddhi. Your whatsoever choices you make, the choices that you make will result in these consequences. Sukha and dukkha will be the consequence of your choices. Labha, alabha, all that we have, all that we saw in the Gita. Now, what is intellect? Intellect is that it sees everything as equal. When it sees everything as equal, what continues? Kritva. Kritva means your activity will continue irrespective of the consequences of your choices. Irrespective of the consequences of your choices, what you ought to do will continue. You follow? That is buddhi. Buddhi doesn't mean you become all-knowing, you will know the future. Knowing the future, you can make the current. You can make the current choice. You can make the choice in the present. The law is, Amit, this is where we bow down. This is called bhakti. The law is, at any given point in time, you make choice with limited knowledge and you will never know what the consequences are going to be. You can never ever know what the consequences are going to be. You don't wish for good consequences. You don't hope for better consequences. You only say whatsoever the consequences are, my nitya naimittika karma will continue. That is buddhi. Helplessness in relation to the result. Helplessness in relation to the consequences. Are you able to follow? Lastly, Amit, the consequences determines whether your choice is right or wrong. When you are making a choice, you will never know whether it is right or wrong. It is only the consequences that comes and tells you whether it is right or wrong. When you are making a choice, all choices looks right only, no? Even a person stealing, as the person is stealing, that person is thinking that one is making the right choice, isn't it? Therefore, how do you know that? It is while making a choice, you can never know. While making the choice, you can never know. It is the consequences that tells you whether the choice that you made is right or wrong. If you are wise, what will you do? If you are wise, what will you do? One thing you will do. You will not make a choice. Tasmat Shastram Pramanam Te. Go to the Shastras and simply follow what the Shastras ask you to. Simply do what the Shastra tells you to do. You are all right. Buddhi is to tell you, follow the Shastra's instruction and make a choice. That is Buddhi. Buddhi is not independent of Shastra. Buddhi is to tell you, they know what they are talking, follow them. Amit. Buddhi Out of buddhi, you don't make independent choices. I don't know from where people get this idea that once you develop your intellect, you can make choices by yourself. You have to be really dumb to make your own choices. A person of intellect will not make their own choices. They will consult the Shastra. Tasmat Shastram Pramanam Te Karya Vyavastitau. In the Vyavastha of discussing Karyam and Akaryam, consult Shastras. Shastra means Dharma. You follow, Amit? Therefore, it's very, very clear. Intellect means, in some other class, I have said this. The mind and body must be guided by the intellect. What guides the intellect? Intellect cannot self-guide. The mind and actions, the mind and the body is guided by the intellect. The next question, what guides the intellect? No, sir, I will do it by myself. You cannot do it by yourself. It's not that you cannot do it by yourself. You can do it by yourself. As you are doing now, Amit, as you are doing now, you will make your own choices, and the consequences will be what? What will be the consequence? The consequence will be one of the pain, the misery, the disappointment. In order to avoid that, the smart shastram pramanam. Therefore, buddhi means the buddhi that bows down to the scriptures and take guidance from the scripture. And the scripture tells you what? How does the scripture guide you? It takes only two factors into consideration. First factor, what is your ashrama? What is your ashrama? Brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyasa, out of syllabus. So we will not talk about that too. And brahmacharya is gone already, isn't it? You left brahmacharya 35 years back, Amit. Therefore, that is also brahmacharya ashrama is also gone. Vanaprastha, sannyasa ashrama doesn't. Hopefully, in future it may come. So, what is your current ashrama? Grihastha. Therefore, intellect consults the Shastras. Grihastha ashrama dharma, and I will do according to what the Shastras have said, whether I like it or not, whether it is pleasant or unpleasant, with all that I will not. You follow? Then your intellect is functioning. Then we can say your intellect is functioning. So what is intellect not functioning? In the sannyasa ashrama, you will behave like a grihastha. In the grihastha ashrama, you want to be like a sannyasi. If not all sannyasis, most of the sannyasis are getting caught. No. Why? Buddhi is not functioning, we'll say. Why? Because you don't live life according to your ashrama. When you are in the grihastha, you want to behave like a sannyasi. You go to the sannyasa ashrama, you will start behaving like a grihastha. Does it make any sense? You follow? Buddhi is not. It means buddhi is not functioning. First indicator of intellect, Shastra guiding. Which ashrama are you in? Function accordingly. Have you ever observed children want to become an adult, and adults wants to behave like children? It's the same foolishness that we carry in life. All children behaves like adult, and you see adults behaving like children. Both are ugly, isn't it? Both looks very ugly. Adult should be an adult, and a child should be a child. But then buddhi is not functioning. Therefore, buddhi says, okay, which ashrama are you in? Only two factors I said. First is the ashrama. The second factor is whatsoever you do in that ashrama, you use it as a stepping stone. Two factors only. You are in an ashrama, and whatsoever you do in that ashrama, you use it as a stepping stone. Then your buddhi is functioning. Then your intellect is functioning. Where do we have intellect like this functioning? You follow? That's why in all the discussion, he goes on differentiating. Intelligence is different, intellect is different. He will go on saying what is intelligence, but you turn around and say what is intellect, he will say next question. Yeah. What is not intellect will be told. What is intellect? Next question. Figure it out, he says. You follow? Amit. Third part. Is helplessness and bhakti the same? Yes. It is the same. Intellect, the intellect that doesn't have bhakti is not intellect. It is just ego. It is just, it's a very intelligent, that is intelligence. So by default, intellect means bhakti is part of the intellect. Bhakti is not separate from intellect. And also we have seen this any number of times. Again, I'm repeating. Action, attitude, one combination. Action and attitude is one combination. Technically, that combination is called karma bhakti. Again, there is one combination, action and attitude. So that combination is called karma and bhakti. Distinct and different from that is jnanam, knowledge. And what we mean by knowledge here is not the knowledge of action, is not the knowledge of attitude. In the first combination, doing is important. In the second combination, understanding is important. In the first combination of action and attitude, the result will come only when you do it. The benefit of charity will come when you understand charity. When will the benefit of charity come? I have the right attitude, sir. I have a right to charitable attitude. Will you get the benefit? Unless it is done in action. It is action that produces the benefit there. You follow? It is action that creates it is action that gives the benefit there. In Jnana Yoga, there is nothing to do. Understanding alone is enough. And what do we mean by understanding here? What is meant by understanding here is this. What you think you are not that. Whatsoever you claim about yourself, you aren't that. That is jnana. You can never come to the stage of jnanam unless you go through this unless you master the first. What is the first? The right action with the right attitude. The right attitude component is called bhakti. The right action is called karma. Therefore, generally we say karma. And whenever we say karma, bhakti is implied in that, bhakti is understood in that. Jnana yogena sankhyanam karma yogena yoginam. Lokesmin dvivida nishta pura brokta mayanaga jnana yogena sankhyanam karma yogena yoginam. It's very clear. Any other clarification? Yes. Okay. Bhaja Govindam படிக்கிறோமா? I'm just reminding what I am going to. Bhaja Govindam. 22. प्रत्याचर्पट विरजित कंतः पुण्या पुण्य विवर्जित पंतः योगी योग नियोजित चित्तो रमते बालोन्मत्तव देव. Philosophy conveyed through poetry has a long-standing effect. Because kantaha, pantaha, the very tune will keep resonating in you even after the class is over, isn't it? So they make a lot of the lyrical beauty of it, at the same time the philosophical content in it. We started this verse by saying this person here is a reference to an enlightened one. Who's an enlightened one? One who's wearing cloth made of street rags. The sage who wears a shawl made of street rags. Okay, what does it mean by him wearing a shawl made of street rags? Street rag means that which is thrown away, useless. That which is thrown away, discarded by others, he picks it up, makes it into a long piece of cloth, and he wears it and wraps it around him. That is called a shawl made of street rags. The clue is not, the shawl made of street rag is not the clue of enlightenment. The clue for enlightenment is punya punya vivarjita pantaha. That is the clue. Punya apunya vivarjita pantaha. The one who has transcended punyam and papam. Always remember this. This search for moksha will make you to look for that which is beyond papa and punya. Because going beyond papa and punya is a very unique search connected only to moksha. To say this is right, to say this is wrong, to say this is beautiful, to say this is ugly, to say this is sin, to say this is virtue, is being caught in the cycle. Is being caught in the cycle. The biggest problem of these kind of verses that has created so much of misunderstanding, at least in the last 100, 150 years of Vedanta. Previously, it wasn't there. Now it has become so much. So anybody who reads this, they think they can do whatever they want. He says, the one who has attained moksha is free from that. Now, if you want to go to moksha, antaranga sadhana, bahiranga sadhana, please understand that. What he's saying is the state for the one who has attained moksha. Now, if you want to attain moksha, there is only one thing. What? Antaranga sadhana and bahiranga. Antaranga sadhana, bahiranga sadhana is what you are going to is what you have to do. Glory is what you have transcended punyam and papam. Punyam and papam means you are neither interested in happy. I want to be happy, sir. Ultimately, the purpose of life is to be happy, no, sir. It means you are. It means you are seeking swarga. If you come and say, ultimately, sir, the ultimate purpose of life is to be happy, no? If a person says ultimate purpose of life is to be happy, then straight away you understand. What is that man seeking? What is that person seeking? That person is seeking Swarga. Because Swarga is a temporary place of happiness. This person here has understood that Pariksha Lokan Karmachitan. Because this person has done enough Pariksha, understood all that is, and understood that as cyclical, repetitive, not taking you anywhere. He doesn't say they are useless. Carefully follow. He doesn't say they are useless. He says it is cyclical, it is repetitive. And anything that is cyclical, repetitive will be. What is the nature of anything that is cyclical, repetitive? Boredom it is. So this fellow is bored of being happy. He is bored. I want to be happy. What is happiness? Because it's not that he's thinking, oh, this happiness will very soon die and I will start crying. Yeah. That person is still stuck in the mind. That person is still stuck in the mind. Who is this punya vivarjita? The one who is neither interested in the happy mind or trying to get rid of the agitations of the mind. He is not trying to get rid of the agitations of the mind, nor is he trying to be in a happy mind. This person is punya vivarjita. The mind that is seeking for happiness, remember this. The mind that is seeking happiness will remain an eternal beggar. The seeking mind will be a beggar. Why? Because happiness means it has to come from something. No. Happiness always comes from something external. It means you have to go and beg. So a person who is seeking and who wants to be happy is a person who will be a beggar. What is beggarly? What is beggarly? Make me happy. It is your responsibility to keep me happy. Foolishly, the other person also say yes. That's what they say, love, isn't it? What is so-called love? One person goes and tells the other, it's your responsibility to make me happy. And this person turns back and says, yes, I will make you happy. And then you'll come back and say, I got cheated. Why? They promised that they will make me happy, and now they are making me unhappy. Now this Ratya Chatpata Virajita, this man here has understood the cyclical nature of this. Because he has done the right pariksha, he has dropped it. Symbolically, he is saying that Ratya Charpata is symbolic. Symbolic means that which the entire society thinks is the source of misery, he can be happy there. He can be happy there. Okay. Remember the poem Village Preacher? Who will want a spendthrift? Who will want to associate with the broken soldier? Who will want to associate with all these people? What the entire society discards, what the entire society says it is redundant, useless burden, this person is comfortable there. That's what it means. What is burden and dirt to others, this person says, no, it's not a burden, it's not a, this person says it's not a burden, it's not a dirt. The mind that is stuck in sin and virtue will go on condemning and praising. The dual nature of the mind is to condemn something and praise something else. But it can never transcend both. The dual nature of the mind is to condemn and criticize. It will condemn, criticize one. As it is condemning and criticizing one, it will praise the other. This is the dual nature of the mind. Moksha means freedom from this dual function of the mind. Therefore, he says, Punya Punya Vivarjita. He has transcended that. When you say this is good, you are making a choice. When you say this is bad and refusing it, you are making another choice. And you go on making choices. What will be the consequence of the choices? You go on making choices. What will be the consequence of the choices? Previous verse, he said it very clearly. Cycle. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. It doesn't matter where you go. You may get to, you may go to Swarga and come back, or you may go to Naraka and come back. But nevertheless, the one who's making choices is bound to necessarily go through this. Therefore, he says, whose path is free of the sin and virtue. Also remember, the one who has transcended the sin and virtue, the one who has transcended the sin and virtue, by default will be virtuous. Why by default they'll be virtuous? Yadyadacharati sreshtaha. Because that person has become a sreshta, and you having become a sreshta, you have to be extremely careful, because pratyaksha pramanam, anumana pramanam, and all that we have discussed, Krishna doesn't accept any of these pramanam. Krishna comes in with the new pramanam there. Verse number 21, chapter 3. What is the new pramanam that he comes up there? Sayat pramanam kurute. Yatu kurute saha pramanam. Whatsoever you do is the pramanam. Therefore, what will the wise one do? What will the wise one do? Because the wise one understands that nobody can understand his inner nature, and everybody is going to look at the actions. Therefore, what you do? Yat kurute, whatsoever they do, saha tat pramanam. Whatsoever they do becomes the pramanam. At least I always used to think, I have told you also many times to think about it. He is not using pratyaksha pramanam, anumana pramanam and all there. He is not even using shastra pramanam there. He is using, throughout the Gita, he never uses pratyaksha anumana examples. He uses only two pramanams. Kurute pramanam and shastram pramanam. Very beautiful. That person who is that kurute pramanam is the enlightened one. Another expression of that person is what? Unmatta bala. Unmatta bala. So one One indication is what? One indication of him is having taken street tracks. That is one indication. Another indication of him is what? Unmatta and Bala. Now, what is this Unmatta and Bala? That also we introduced last week, and that we have seen any number of times. Child means the emotional burden doesn't get carried into the next moment. That is the child. It will be crying. Next moment it will start laughing and it will forget it completely. That is that aspect of the child which can move is the child. Mad person. Not a mad person, like a mad person. What is that comparison here? When all of us need something to make us smile, that person is smiling all by oneself. That's why we get very scared when somebody is smiling all by oneself. No. When somebody is smiling, we'll want to go and ask, why? Suppose the person turns back and says, no, there's no reason to smile. Oh my God, we will say, isn't it? He's laughing all by, the person is laughing all by oneself. Now, who's the unmatta? The person who doesn't need anything from outside to make him happy. But we all need somebody from outside to make us happy, isn't it? We need somebody to make us happy, and we need somebody to make us cry. What we will do? We will sit and claim that I am a victim of both. That's all, isn't it? Because we need somebody. A mad person is one who doesn't need a reason or a situation to be happy. He's happy by himself. Ramate. Ramate comes from the one who's in Rama all the time is Rama. He's happy all the time. Rama means what? Rama means one who is happy, one who is reveling, one who is happy all the time. But he was crying, no. He was laughing, no. One part of him is always unaffected by that. Because he is unaffected by that, the way he can be in a role is very complete. That's why we say no. The way that Rama was crying when Sita was lost, Tulsidas writes about it. Valmiki talks about it, but he doesn't give this episode. Tulsi comes and gives this episode. When the way that Rama cried when Sita was lost, no husband will cry. The way he was crying, the way he was talking, he was literally going mad. Where the most Lakshmana, who is always on the edge, will give a philosophical discourse. Lakshmana will give a philosophical discourse to Rama, and he's confused. I have never, why are you like this, Rama? Control, control, why? We'll find out. Wait, why are you getting? So, all the things he does to Rama. Parvati saw Rama crying. Parvati saw. So she went and told Shiva, see, look at your devotee. Because, they worship Shiva, no. Their family deity is Shiva. That's why in Rameshwaram, he made the Shiva Linga and he worshipped, and we all go to worship. We all go to worship there because he made the Linga and he worshipped there. Yeah. So Parvati said, your devotee is crying and he's a very good man. When I go, you never cry like that. Because so many times Parvati left Shiva and Shiva never cried even once. He said, look at that man. Let's go and help him. Let's go and help him. Shiva said, no, leave him alone. Just leave him alone. Don't go. He said, no, 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 we must go and help. We must go. He said, no, he doesn't need help. Just leave him alone. So, in order to console, in order to give him a temporary consolation, Parvati, disguised like Sita, appeared in front. Immediately, Rama asked, how is Shiva? Yeah. Immediately, Rama asked, how is Shiva doing? That is Rama. That is Ram. One who is reveling, where he doesn't lose sight of, the truth, irrespective of punya, apunya. That is Rama. He never lost sight of it. Next moment, he started crying again, isn't it? What he must be a real fraud, no? Looks like that, isn't it? What a thing he's doing. But that is the sage here. That is the sage here. As I said in the beginning, Ratya is the clue. The one who can live on that implies the mental preoccupations is less. He doesn't have any mental preoccupation. The few factors that keeps the mental preoccupation is what? There are few factors that keeps a human being mentally preoccupied. That which causes mental preoccupation is called possessions. Again, the meaning of possession is that which causes mental preoccupation. Possession doesn't mean having it. Possession means it causes mental preoccupation. What does mental preoccupation means? Wherever you go, whatsoever you do, one part of your mind is circling around that. That is called preoccupation. Wherever you go, whatsoever you do, one part of your mind is circling around. That is called preoccupation. Now, what are the things that preoccupies? What are the things that causes mental occupation? First thing, possessions, objects. First thing that causes a preoccupation is possessions. The second thing that causes preoccupation is the so-called responsibilities and obligations. Possessions and obligations, responsibilities causes mental preoccupation. What is meant by preoccupation here? Preoccupation means the mind helplessly keeps going to it again and again and again, and you can't do anything about it. Again, the mind keeps going to it again and again, helplessly. Even if you try to stop it, it will not stop. That is called preoccupation. Sannyasi doesn't have this ratya. So, when we look at this person, we pity him, isn't it? We pity the enlightened ones, and the enlightened ones pity us. God only knows who's right, who's wrong here. We pity the enlightened ones. Ayyo, pavam. Ayyo, pavam, sir. Very soon that fellow attained moksha, isn't it? Poor fellow. And he looks so, we pity the beggar, and the beggar pities us. Balaha unmatta iva. And that person is a yogi ramate. Yogi ramate means can be happy without the need of anything. That is ramate, which we already now. From where does he get that joy? Okay, where does he get this joy? What makes him get this joy? From where does the yogi get this joy? The yogi gets this joy from understanding. What is that understanding? That's called jnanam, liberation. That's called jnanam. That's called moksha. That's called liberation. Preoccupation is a weakness of the mind depending on factors which is not dependable. Preoccupation means the mind goes around, the mind goes round and round and round over things over which it has no control. It will not have any control, but it will go on and on and on, circling that, around that. That person is a sannyasi, and that sannyasi attains moksha. Here we are using sannyasi and the liberated one more synonymously. We are not using sannyasi as an ashrama. Here we are using sannyasi as in the sense of an liberated, enlightened one. The liberation means liberation from ignorance. Freedom from what? Moksha means liberation. Liberation means freedom. Freedom from what? Don't say freedom from the mind, even though we keep saying it in a very loose sense. The mind has become so powerful only because of the ignorance. Therefore, freedom from the mind means freedom from ignorance. And what is ignorance? What is ignorance? Ignorance means you don't see what is there and you see something else in its place. That is ignorance. Again, what is ignorance? Ignorance means, number one, you don't see what is there. Second, you see something else. That is ignorance. Technically, it's called avarna vikshepa, covering and revealing itself as something else. That is ignorance. Avarna vikshepa is ignorance. First, it covers and then it reveals itself as something else. Example, rope and the snake. Remember that example, rope and the snake. Freedom from the trauma of the snake is not to convert the snake into rope. Freedom from the trauma of snake is not by converting the snake into rope. Freedom from the trauma of the snake is by recognizing what? How will you get freedom from the trauma of the snake? By recognizing there is no snake. Supposing if you are making an effort to convert the snake into rope, will always have a problem. What? The rope can again become the snake. That's why we say, sir, we solved the problem, but another problem comes, sir. Because what have you done? You have tried to convert the snake into the rope. Vedanta doesn't try to convert the snake into the rope. It tries to tell you what? There is no snake. 2. Even when you are seeing the snake, there is no. Even when you are seeing the snake, there's no snake. Even when you are experiencing the snake, there is no snake. So in Vedantic sense, moksha means freedom from this avarna and vikshepa. Jnani is free. Why? Because he knows how to reveal avarna and vikshepa. He knows the technique. Anybody who has learned this technique, we say that person has a buddhi. For us to say a person has a buddhi, what is required? That person should know how to take how to remove this avarna and vikshepa. A person who knows how to remove this avarna vikshepa is one who has the buddhi, and the one who has a buddhi is the enlightened. He is the enlightened one. What does the buddhi says? Buddhi says weakness plus weakness equals strength. Correct? Rajshekhar. Weakness plus weakness equals strength. Yeah. Isn't it? Does it ever happen like that? Weakness plus weakness equals weakness multiplied. Weakness plus weakness plus weakness multiplied. You are able to follow. That is where the misery in life is weakness and weakness get together thinking that they are going to be strong. Now, weakness and weakness can never become strong. Weakness and weakness will become more weak. Loan plus loan plus loan plus loan equals richest person. Correct? No, sir. In the equation, I think loan and loan and loan are rich here, isn't it? Their weakness plus weakness, we can understand. But here, loan plus loan plus loan equals Naranji. Loan plus loan plus loan plus loan equals, lots of riches, sir. Does it ever happen like that? This clarity is buddhi. This clarity is what we call as buddhi. Therefore, Pratya Charpata Virachita Pantaha Punya Punya Vivarjita, all that he keeps on. Next verse padingo.
Kasvam koham kuta ayatah kame janani kome tatah iti paribhavaya sarvamasaram vishvam tyaktva swapna vicharam. Kastvam koham kuta ayatah kame janani kome tatah iti paribhavaya sarvamasaram vishvam tyaktva swapna vicharam.
Who are you? Who am I? From where have I come? Who is my mother? Who is my father? Thus inquire, having renounced the entire world as essenceless, born of imagination. So who are you? Who am I? From where have I come? Who is my mother? Who is my father? Thus inquire, having renounced the entire world as essenceless, born of imagination. Now what is he saying? Vichara, the method by which you develop the buddhi. So buddhi becomes strong by accepting the fact. Buddhi means that which is stable because the law, the fact is understood. So the stability is buddhi. And that stability comes because of having understood and accepted that, having understood and accepted the fact as a fact. So vichara is the method. So that's why we go on, say inquire, inquire, inquire. In the language of the Upanishad, it is called pariksha. The Upanishad language, we call it as pariksha. Here we call it as iti paribhava. Iti paribhava means do this inquiry, do this inquiry. What should the, how you should do it? Sarvam Vishwam Paribhavam. Again and again and again you must do it. And they also tell you the conclusion. What is the conclusion? What should be the conclusion of your inquiry? The conclusion of your inquiry should be, it is useless. Then only you are inquiring. Supposing I have inquired and found out, very interesting, sir. It's very joyous. It's very helpful. It is very meaningful. Then you have not inquired at all. So you should. So the inquiry is said, and the conclusion of the inquiry is also said. Question answer. The question is given and the answer is also given. I don't know what kind of pariksha it is. At least the answer you should be allowed to find out for yourself. No, no. This Vishwam, which appears to have saram, is asaram. Saram na essence. Something meaningful in it. This Vishwam, which seems to have lot of saram, is asaram. How do you understand that? How do you understand that? Swapna Vicharam. That Swapna Vicharam is a very, very important study. Mandukya does this study a lot. The first indication and the primary indication of illusion is what? Mandukya says this. The first indication, and this indicator never goes wrong. What is the indicator that it is an illusion? I am experiencing it, therefore real is ignorance. I am experiencing it, sir. This is a direct experience, sir. It's my direct anubhava, sir. It's my direct anubhava. It's my direct experience. So, the proof of reality is your, the proof of reality is what? The proof of reality is your experience. Mandukya comes and says, oh, have you experienced it? Yeah, then it is definitely unreal. It's ulta, it goes. Very difficult to, that's why this Swapna Vicharam in Vedanta, we have such a great regard and respect and say, unless you are highly, highly evolved and qualified, you will not even understand the meaning of this inquiry. Because the fact that you are experiencing it means it's not there. We'll come and say, it is there only because I am experiencing. He comes and says, it is not, the proof that it is not there is because you are experiencing. Who looks like blabbering? Soumitra. Who looks like blabbering here? Mandukya looks like, Mandukya will definitely look like blabbering only. I'm experiencing it. The Swapna Vicharam is giving that. So we will try to explain, we'll try to explore the Swapna Vicharam a little bit. Experience means as long as you are in it, it will be real. Again, experience means as long as you are in it, it will be real. So the unreality of it is not an experience. The unreality of it becomes an understanding. Is unreal experienced or is unreal understood? Never say unreality is an experience. Unreality is an understanding. Then you have clarity. Supposing if you say, oh, I have experienced, sir, it's all illusory. Supposing somebody comes and says that I have experienced, it's all illusion. What should you tell that person? You have not understood, Mandukya, go and refer. Go to Gaudapada. Gaudapada will take one gada and break your Gaudapada will take one gada and break your head into pieces. By saying that the fact that you are experiencing means it is. So unreality is an understanding, not an experience. So when you are experiencing something, the senses will reveal it as real. The mind will reveal it as real. That is why the temporariness is not a perception of the senses. The temporariness can never be the perception of the senses. The temporariness can never be the perception of the mind. For the mind, the senses will perceive it as real. The eyes have to tell me the wall is real. The eyes cannot say there is no wall here. Do you follow? Supposing if I say, if my eyes are saying there is no wall here, what will I do? I will try to walk through the wall. Is it possible? Only in Harry Potter it is possible, isn't it? You will walk through the wall and suddenly it will become a railway station, isn't it? Yeah. Only there it happens. In reality and all, it doesn't happen. So senses, the unreality is not something that is perceivable by the senses. The unreality is something which the mind also cannot, because it has to experience. That is why the enquiry of I alone reveals. So two enquiries here. One is the enquiry of the I and another is the enquiry of the Swapna. Now we will try. Swapna means experience. What is meant by Swapna is dream. When we say dream, don't actually go to the literal example of dream. Analyzing an experience which you have, which you are not in it now. Palatur, purida? Swapna Vicharam means analyzing an experience in which you aren't there now. Then only you can analyze. Now, if you are in it, you can never ever analyze it because you are in it and that's it. Nothing. So, what does experience means? You experienced it and you are not experiencing it now. Past tense and present tense. That is Vicharam. So, experience means experienced past. In the present, you are not experiencing. Therefore, you can do this Vicharam, enquiry. What is the enquiry? Gradations of thinking. Charvaka, which is the lowest philosophy, which is a very elementary philosophy, which is what sciences is all about, says it is there because you are seeing it. It is there because you are seeing it. But then that philosophy gets, but then through inquiry, we have understood that philosophy doesn't that conclusion doesn't stand the test. Why? Why it doesn't stand the test? Are you seeing actually what is there, or are you seeing what your senses are capable of seeing? Dalanda vicharam, inquiry. Now Vedanta gets very technical. Sir, we don't want this Vedanta, sir. சும்மா ஏதோ ஸ்டோரி எல்லாம் சொல்லுங்க, ராமா சீதா சிவா கம்மிங் பார்வதி கம்மிங் அண்ட் ஆல் இஸ் வெரி very good. Don't do this vichara, don't do this inquiry and all that. Are you seeing what is there, or are you seeing what the senses are capable of seeing? What is the answer? You are only seeing what your senses are capable of seeing. That's why it's called jnana indriyas. Why it is called jnana indriyas? They reveal something to you. They don't reveal the real knowledge. They reveal something which is capable, which is what it can reveal. And that revelation is an experience, and you give it a reality to it. Now, what is vicharam? What is vicharam? What you are seeing or what you are experiencing is, that's what we call as conditioned knowledge. Conditioned by the limitations of the instruments. The mind reveals something to you and you experience it according to your mind. Therefore, you are not actually experiencing anything. Your mind is just, so you feel what your mind is going through itself is real. No, that's what your mind is going through. Thus, you remove the senses, you remove the mind. When the senses, the mind and all is removed, what gets removed? The reality that you give to the experiences gets removed. When the reality that you give to the experiences are removed, you have gotten a maturity. That is called objectivity, sakshi. This state is called objectivity. This state is called sakshi, where you can see it and not give it a sense of reality and get affected by it. And the reality that you give it is of two types, pleasant and unpleasant. The two types of reality that the mind reveals about everything is what? Pleasant and unpleasant. Punya, punya, vivarjita. We have already seen that. So from there we take a clue. What is the clue? Mind reveals, eyes reveal color and form. Mind reveals everything as, okay, if eyes reveal color and form, and eyes are only capable of revealing color and form, what is the mind capable of revealing? The mind is capable of revealing pleasant and unpleasant, sukham, dukkham. So all that the mind reveals is only pleasant and unpleasant. Now you can't say, oh, I didn't know this, sir. Because Bhaja Govindam, we started. Dukkha nivritti, sukha prapti. So mind, the senses reveal, the eyes reveal color and form, the ears reveal sound, mind reveals sukha, dukkha. From this vichara, what do you understand? You are a victim of your instruments. You don't have any choice, Amit. You don't have any choice. You don't have any freedom. Whatever the instrument decides you to see, you see that. Because of your identification with the instruments so much, you say I. Now connect it to the vichara of I. Because of your identification with the instruments, you start saying I. The I vichara is questions. the experience vichara is through the mandukya. Therefore, by taking the help of these two, what happens to you? This sarvam asaram. Sarvam asaram. Then the conclusion is correct. Able to follow how the verse is so are able to follow. Then it is sarvam is asaram. The moment you understand everything as asaram, this Vishwam is asaram. Therefore, it will be very easy to tyaktva. You can leave it very easily. That which is essenceless, that which is meaningless, you will not hold on to. You are holding on to only because you still think there is an essence in it. Saram. You still see something in it. Asaram means, so tyaktva becomes easy. And this tyaktva is the indicator of sannyasa. Tena tyaktena bunjitam. The Upanishad says tyaktva. Tyaktva. No. One who can leave completely is a sannyas. Nyasam nale left nartho. The very word nyasa itself means left. And you prefix it with another thing, sam. It means you leave it so completely that you don't pick it up again. Just as the toys. That's where the example of the toys comes. You leave the toys, when you leave the toy, you leave the toy so completely that you will never ever pick it up again. Supposing you leave it and pick it up 3 months later, it means it's a temporary nyasam, not sannyasam. Sannyasam means you leave it. And when you leave it, you don't pick it up again. In order to gain the strength and maturity, vicharam is important. And for that vicharam to happen, the mind has to be calm, and the mind can become calm only through the karma bhakti. So the karma bhakti practices bring the calmness to the mind. Aided with this calmness, supported by the strength of this calmness, you can do this vicharam. And then the conclusion of the vicharam is what? Tyaktva. You can leave everything fully, completely. Therefore, kastvam koham kuta ayatah kame janani kome tatah. Now that first line we are not discussing because we have studied all these questions already in one of the previous verses. Refer to that verses. Kastvam koham kuta ayatah kame janani kome tatah. That we studied already. Iti paribhavaya sarvamasaram vishwam tyaktva swapna vicharam. And we just picked up the word vicharam and the swapna and the paribhavaya, and the questions and all is the I. With this we conclude for today. We'll continue next.